The Ukraine conflict is getting interesting. Slovakia and Hungary have decided to cut, I believe, diesel supply to Ukraine. Hungary is even adding to that. They're saying even electricity they will cut if Ukraine does not open the oil pipe that they've closed that come from Russia and deliver oil to Hungary and Slovakia. Then Zelensky is claiming that he's under pressure from Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Basically, the United States is pressuring him to make a deal, get out of the Donbass. Same thing with Russia, saying they should get out of the Donbass. Then you have Germany saying that they no longer have enough weapons to send to Ukraine. Germany is fighting with France over fighter jets to send to Ukraine. Everybody's giving up on Ukraine now. It's amazing how they come up, in the Munich conference and promise all these different things. Here's Germany saying they're going to, try to give more weapons to Ukraine during the Munich conference. And then later on, they also say they believe that the conflict would end in 2026. How do they know that? Germany's Merz doesn't even know what he wants. One day he's saying something tough, to try to show that he's, standing with Ukraine. The next day, he's saying something else. At the end of the day, you're asking yourself the question, what is their real position in this entire thing as of 2026? And Zelensky is out there talking about we're not losing the war. And he's adding that the question is, are we going to win? See, you have to understand one thing with these people, man. They know how to use words. What does it mean to say we're not losing the war and the question is, are we going to win? He doesn't want to admit that they're losing the war. That's basically what he means. That's it. You don't have to ask more than this. They're talking about we're sending drones deep inside Russia. That's their language. And then if you look at how deep, you find out that it's not really what you think. It's always in the borders of Russia. If it's not Belgorod, Bryansk, you name them, right? See, one of the reasons why I try not to make a lot of videos on Ukraine anymore is because that war has ended, basically. Everything you're seeing now is just, how to come out of this thing saving your face, basically. This is miserable, what is going on. Why Zelensky sit on TV trying to tell you that, we're not losing the war? Thousands of people in Kiev and other cities like Odessa, you name them, don't have power. We're talking about electricity, gas, water that is essential for life. They don't have, because a lot of those things work with power. When you start destroying grids, how do you run the water to apartment complexes and houses and things like that? You can imagine what Ukraine is becoming when you don't have water. Think about the sanitation. When you don't have water running into your sanitation system, you're going to end up just going outside on a road to do what you need to do there. And imagine yourself what that looks like, because we're talking about a situation of lack of power because of the bombing. And we're talking about it during the cold. It's extremely cold in Ukraine, especially this year. But a lot of people are not talking about the details of how, we survive and the things that we take for granted. When you don't have water properly running into a city, a neighborhood, you name it, even into a house, imagine yourself how people are going to live. Just think about it. How are they living? And this is why the mayor of Kiev told his population, if you can leave the city, please leave. Because, not only that people can no longer properly survive because of the cold and are dying just because of that. It's not, drones are not even killing people a lot anymore. What is killing people now is that people cannot heat themselves and they die because of the cold, being just frozen. And Zelensky sit down every single day on TV. Give big speeches about, oh yeah, we cannot give up the Donbass. You don't want to give up the Donbass. You prefer to sacrifice your own people, for a piece of land. Russia now occupies 90% of the Donbass. The little 10% that Zelensky is fighting for, just 10%, is killing most of its population. Look, Ukraine has lost more than 10 million people. I'm talking about dead, left, gone to other countries, and they're not ready to come back. How? Do you know how long it's going to take to bring back all the energy after the conflict? And Zelensky every single day wants to play tough on TV. Say, oh, look, we can't give up. We can't give up. And he is supported by the West. If we tell you that those people don't care about human beings, let me just rephrase myself here. They don't care about other human beings because they, Europe specifically, are using Ukraine to die for their own society. That's what's going on. That clearly shows you where their, minds, their heart is. They say, well, we want to protect ourselves. Let's sacrifice the Ukrainians. That's life for you. And Zelensky is happy to do it as long as he receives billions of dollars. And so, like I always tell you, at this point in time, he has gone so far that he doesn't have the power to say, let's stop. Because the people who are truly fighting, the Nazi, the Azov battalion who are truly fighting over there, they're suicidal. They're fighting with hate. They never cared about the Ukrainian in the first place. Their thing was always, look, we're ready to fight Russia. That's it. Anyhow we do it. So when those people were saying that we will fight until the last Ukrainians, keep in mind, it wasn't just Ukrainians saying it. Europe was saying it. The United States were saying it. That is how we see it happening here. And they will be the first one to use human beings when other things happen. They'll come and tell you, children are dying. The reason why children are dying in Ukraine is because of the West. Bottom line. The one who accuses others is only telling on himself. So whatever we see in Ukraine now, and one of the reasons why, I try to, not to report so much on it, is because we are seeing humanity brought to nothing, no matter what happened and how long this conflict takes. Let me tell you what is true. Ukraine will lose, and very badly. And for Ukraine to come back as a real country, it's going to take years. I'm talking about decades. If you don't have anyone who's willing to come live and work to rebuild, most of the men are dying in the front line. And those who have ran away from Ukraine, what makes you think that they're, ready to come back? For what? What is left in Ukraine? It's going to take decades to bring back Ukraine as a country again. Because what is happening is not just physical, it's also spiritual.